Oh my goodness. Look at this. First of all, let me say this. I am not a crocheter, okay? This is not something that I do. But I made 8 whole blankets, okay, in 6 weeks, all right? And no, I was not crocheting all day. These are, if you notice, they're different sizes, and that's because the smaller ones are for my grands and the larger ones are for my kids. I made these as Christmas gifts, and this video is coming out after the fact because they watch my videos, and so I couldn't put it out because they would see it, okay? They all have fringes. They all have a label on it that says, handmade with love, to who it's from, to who it's for. Let me tell you something. If you do not know how to crochet, it is a skill that everyone needs to know. Let me ask you something. Do you wear sweaters? Do you wear hats? Do you wear mittens? Any of those things, gloves, okay? Ola Joe, the crocheting sailor. Not only is she just my bestie, we are dear friends, but she is amazing, okay? The hat I did about 3 years ago, and then I did a bag, all under her direction, okay? It took me 4 to 5 months to make a hat. Lord have mercy, for all my crocheters out there, I frogged that hat so many times, it wasn't even funny, okay? Whew, the bag took me about a month to make, all right? And if you want to see those 2 items, I still have that video for both of them posted on the Scaredy-cat Gardener, okay? They're over on my gardening channel, all right? So head over to the Scaredy-cat Gardener and check those out. But back to Ola Joe, the crocheting sailor. She guided me through it. I'm going to show you all some clips of my journey along the way. All right? Amazing teacher. Patient. I had questions upon questions. She trying to tell me something, which was one, that my blankets needed a border. I'm like, my blankets don't need a border. I don't want to put a border on my blankets. In my head, I'm thinking, that's too much. I'm barely getting this done. Now you want me to add something else? She kept insisting. Lord knows I'm so thankful I put a border on here. It makes them look so nice and neat. Look at that. Look at that. All of these blankets, they're different sizes, but the larger ones are like 62 by 50. I'm going to take this one down. I ain't taking all the rest of them down, guys. No, okay? But just so you all can see, they all have the fringes on them, all right? I did this with Bernat Blanket yarn, bulky weight 6, and this is a half double crochet. The border is done with a single crochet, okay? And I put labels on each one to identify them so they'll know which ones they are. And I actually kind of snuck around and asked them what colors would they like. And these are the ones that each one told me. I used the variegated yarn for my grands because I thought they would want something a little bit more playful, okay? So that's what I used. And the hook that I used was an 11.5 millimeter plastic crochet hook. I tried wooden, I tried metal, but the plastic seemed to work. And that was another thing. She taught me so many things along the way. I learned how to use, that's how I got these done. I was learning along the way. She explained to me about needing to know the feel of my hook. And I'm like, a hook is a hook. She's like, you'll get it. Just try different hooks. And when you get the right hook that works with you, that you can work with, you'll know it, okay? So she helped me with the yarn. I didn't know what kind of yarn to get. She talking about bulky weight 6. I'm like, what? That's too heavy. That's this, that. She guided me every step of the way. And she was so patient, okay? So I want you all to go over there and I want y'all to type in any one of her videos, just type blanket. So she'll know you came from me, all right? Support her, subscribe her. Let's help grow her channel because look at this. Look at this. This is amazing. My kids will have their blankets by the time this video is released, but I'm pretty sure when they see this, they're going to be like, Mama, we know you can do this. And I'm going to be like, Mama didn't know Mama could do it either. Oh my goodness. This is just so amazing. Look how tall they are compared to me. And they're folded. So let's take a look at some of those clips. I just was putting my camera up and taking shots along the way and photos along the way as I did it. So let's take a look. This sure was one journey. I started off with some kind of yarn, as you can see here. I don't even know what kind it was, but I upgraded to the Bernat Blanket yarn. This was one of the first starts that I did. As you can see, it's kind of wonky here and there, but I was measuring every, half a foot or so. Every time I look up, I was down on the floor measuring so I could see if I could get it straight. Then here, this blanket was a hot mess. As you can see, I'm rolling this ball back up because I frogged it. I'm talking about frustration from this blanket. I was literally halfway through and I thought, I can't do this. It's not going to work. So I frogged. I said, okay, I'm going to start all over again. All this that you see on my lap here, I took this entire blanket loose. Now, granted, remember, these blankets are like 60 by 50 each. So I was halfway through. But it was a hot mess. It wasn't even on the sides. It was just wonky. And my stitching was so tight. I actually was using a 10 millimeter hook. And my tension was just so tight, it just was not working. So I moved on, and as you can see, I was working on 2 blankets. I had whips, you guys, whips, works in progress, okay? And here, this right here, this is why this blanket was so tight. This was a 10 millimeter hook. I didn't realize at the time that I needed a larger hook. And as you can see, I was literally putting the yarn over the hook and pulling it through. And as you can see, it was hard to pull through. It wasn't gliding through because I didn't know what I was doing. Hey, this was the first one, okay? Like I said, I am not a crocheter. So I was literally putting the yarn over the hook physically and pulling it through. I didn't realize that if it wasn't going through easy, that probably meant it wasn't in the right spot. And I don't know. I was learning how to count. I was learning how to pull the yarn through. I was learning a little bit of everything. And I just kept bugging Ola Jo, what am I doing? What am I doing? And she was like taking pictures, and she'd do a swatch and send that clip to me saying for me to watch what she was doing. That was really hard. This blanket right here, which actually is my oldest granddaughter's blanket. Oh, and hang around because you'll get to see all of my kids and all of my grandkids with their blankets. I mean, this blanket probably took, out of the 6 weeks, it probably took 2 of the 6 weeks because it was the first one. And I was truly learning. I couldn't even hardly pull the yarn through. Finally, as you see, I don't have the fringe on here yet, but I was trying to figure out, this was the blanket that she insisted that I needed to put a border on. As you can see, I had stopped and look, you see the puff right there because I had extra stitches in there. I wasn't counting right. I had not learned yet exactly what to count. You're supposed to count your stitches. Well, which part was the actual stitch that I was supposed to count? Okay, that was a hot mess, but I got through it, and I was so glad that I put a border on that blanket. Here it is with the fringes and the border, and it looks much better. I had to frog it, but that's okay. If you have to frog something, it's worth frogging, okay? Everybody, I'm pretty sure pros out there have to frog something. If nothing else, something drew their attention away from their work. This is the next blanket I did, and it came out much better because I learned from the first one. Look at the edges. These edges compared to the first edges. Now, these aren't pro edges, but these edges look way better than that first wonky one, okay? This was the third blanket I did. And as you can see, I'm putting it down. I have a large mat that I was putting it down on to measure it. And I kept measuring it all along the way. And you can see the progression. See how straighter that one was? But even on to this orange one, I was still measuring at the time. I mean, I would do so many rows and measure because I had to make sure it was straight. But as you can see, I'm just like a third way through or in the middle of this one, and the edges are much straighter because by this blanket, I had began to learn how to handle the tension. That if I pulled my yarn towards the middle of the hook, if you ever take a look at a crochet hook, it's not completely straight. It's either fatter in the middle or thinner in the middle. And that's so that you can guide the yarn to a specific spot. And if you guide that yarn to that spot each and every time, then you will have the same tension. It won't be tight here and loose there. You can control it. Now, if you notice, I have a green hook. By the time I got to this orange blanket, I realized that that 10 millimeter hook was just making everything way too tight. So I moved on to a larger hook. This is a 11.5 millimeter. Both of these hooks are plastic. And I actually tried a wooden hook at one point in time because Ola Joe kept telling me, try different hooks until you get it. I tried a metal hook and I tried a wooden hook. And I'm going to tell you, these hooks, these are my favorite hooks, okay? I can't even remember the brand they are, but if I can remember it, I'll tag those. I love these hooks. So these are my favorite. But as you see, I'm kind of guiding it with my hand, but I'm no longer physically actually taking my hand off the yarn and pulling it through. Now, here I am putting on the fringe. And you know, that's another thing I realized, and Ola Joe kept telling me, you have to find your own style and everything else. I was literally sitting on the blanket and doing this backwards. For me, it did not work laying the blanket out and facing the blanket and putting it on from the front. I had to do it from the back. But as you see, the fringes, they coming out even. They were so easy to put on. And as you can see, it's straight. Now you'll see a variation in the color. See that lighter color orange in there? That was not me changing colors. That was a variation in the actual yarn that I bought because I did not buy enough yarn at first, which is something else I learned. If you buy all your yarn at once, what you need and maybe a little bit more, you can kind of avoid that sometimes because what happens is when yarn is dyed, they can't actually guarantee that it's going to be perfectly the same color. So if you get two different lots, you might have a different color yarn, although the actual name of it is the same. And that's what happened there. But it worked out perfectly because it looked like I put a stripe in there. So, hey. Now, as you can see, I've gotten faster by the time I got to this blanket. I've gotten faster. I put the border on and boom, I was done. All these blankets, like I said, are about 60 by 52 with a little variation. I might have one that's 52 by 60. I might have one that's 49 by 60, but roughly. And that's 60 before the fringe. All my fringe, I measured the fringe out and all the fringes on all the blankets are 6 inches long. So I wanted those to kind of be the same. Now, on these solid blankets, the variegated blankets were for my grandkids. And I didn't put as many fringe on there because I simply didn't buy that much yarn. I didn't know how to actually calculate it. By the time I got to these, I knew how to calculate it and I knew how much I could buy. And I knew to buy enough that I can have the fringes even tighter and closer together. Now, look, I'm moving right along by the time I get to this one. I'm actually just crocheting along and I got faster and faster. And I guess anything that you do on repeat, you'll become better at it. And that's what happened. You know, it was like anything else. I just kept going. This one, I was putting the fringe on it and I put the labels on them. Each one has a label on it and the labels are in the middle. Again, I was like, Ola Joe, where am I going to put this label at? Do I put it on the corner? How do I put it? So I had to take different pictures and videos of it, showing her, and she guided me of where to put it. Again, look, I'm just sitting here crocheting now. I think by the time I got to this gold blanket, I was watching TV and crocheting at the same time, okay? So I did not crochet every day. And when I did crochet, I only crochet for about a couple of hours. It would take me about 2.5 hours to do one skein. So I was able to calculate my time based off of how many skeins I wanted to do. And as you can see, I got my fringes on it. It's nice and even all the way around. I got the label on it, and that's it. Okay, that is Ola Joe, the Crocheting Sailor. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, Pam's POV, subscribe to the channel. And if you are not subscribed to my other channel, the Scaredy-cat Gardener, or I should say one of my other channels, I'm going to leave a link to Ola Joe's channel in the description and at the very end of this video, okay? And if nothing else, let her know that you saw my work, which she guided me through. I am forever grateful, Ola Joe. I am forever grateful. You know, because I've mentioned it, that the next thing I want to do is a cardigan. I want to do a sweater. And yes, I'm jumping from the pot to the frying pan, I guess, or however I'm doing, I'm taking leaps and bounds. All right, I've never crocheted a pot holder. I've never crocheted a simple scarf. I went from hat that you'll see on the Scaredy-cat garden to bag to 8 whole blankets in 6 weeks. Oh my goodness. I started this at the end of October and I finished it right before the middle of December. So I am proud of this and I am so happy. I hope that when my kids see this, I hope they are enjoying their blankets, okay? I love you to the moon and back, all right? Thank you so much, Ola Joe. All right. Give this video a like and a hype, all right? I would appreciate it. Share it out with someone that you know that crochets or someone that you know that would like to crochet. Anybody out there that wants to crochet, apparently it's doable. Look, y'all, I cook. I do other stuff. I garden. But crochet, that's not what I do. Or I should say, that's not what I did. Because, Ola Joe, we got to do a cardigan next, so I got to bug you some more. Okay, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.